Hello. So it is Wednesday, June 7th, and I have yet another video. Yay! Okay, so this one is going to be about tiger's eye again, because when I made my last video about tiger's eye, I left off some very important experiences. So I was sure to write them down, and so I want to share them with you now. So I don't know how much longer I'm going to be working with the tiger's eye stone. And again, for those of you who didn't, maybe you didn't see the last video, here's my tiger's eye bracelet. Isn't it gorgeous? So pretty. And then I'm going to take it off so you can see it. I'm just so infatuated with tiger's eye. I hope the color translates well, but anyway, I love it. So what I want to talk about is there was an experience that happened to me in May, and I don't know how in the world I forgot. Okay, I'm struggling. There we go. Okay, how I forgot to mention this. So during the month of May, I had kind of a mini nervous breakdown. I was really overwhelmed at work. I felt overworked, underpaid, like a lot of folks do. And I make a pretty good living at what I do, but at the same time, when you start looking at what you're bringing to the table versus what other people are bringing to the table, and then you kind of, maybe they're lying about, what they're bringing in. But even that aside, if you do your research online and you're like, oh, well, this is what I'm supposed to be getting. Anyway, I totally let that work me up. And plus, like I said, I was overwhelmed, right? And so, there was a day last month, May, where I just wanted to go to the office and just say, in the words of that one chick up here who quit from the news station, fuck it, I quit. I wanted to go right in there and say that. I mean, I was at the end of my rope that day. So before I even got to the office, I sent an email saying, look, I can't make it. I'm not feeling well, which was the truth, because I feel like even if on a physical level you feel okay, but mentally or emotionally you just don't feel like you're in a good place, why not call in a sick day? So anyway, so I took the day off and I went to the doctor because I really felt like I was at the point to where I was justified, and where if I explained my situation to the doctor, then they would write me a note for a medical leave of absence just for a couple days. All I was asking for was a couple days, right? So I get to the doctor's office, and of course, she wants to write me a prescription for an antidepressant. And I looked at her, I said, are you kidding me? Really? You want to write me a prescription? And I'm just telling you, I just need a couple days off because I have a little anxiety and this and that and the other. And she's like, well, let's try the medication first. And if that doesn't work, then we'll go ahead and write you this letter. And I was just like, you know what? Forget it. And I just got right up and I walked out. And before I walked out, I said, you didn't help me today, so I hope I'm not going to be charged for this visit. And she was like, don't worry about it. You're not going to be charged. I was just like, fine, and I left. And, I've since called and apologized for that, but I was done, right? Okay. So I called some of my closest friends, and they cheered me up. I had one friend a couple friends actually, who immediately went into prayer warrior mode. And hey, I was all for it because I was really down in the dumps. I was really, really down. I felt like I was in a very dark place, and I had one friend who came over because she tried to call me a couple times, and I think I was either taking a nap or I just didn't want to talk to anybody. And she was like, okay, I called you 2 times. And I said, if you don't answer the third time, I answered the third time. And she came and picked me up and we went. somewhere. I think we might have went to the mall because she needed to go get some stuff, but just getting out of the house helped me feel a little bit better. Um, and I mean, I was at the point to where I was in tears, and I don't cry. I don't let things get to me to the point to where I start crying, but that's how much the heaviness was for me that day. And I feel like the tiger's eye. Oh, hold on. Okay, I'm back. So at that time, I didn't realize, or I didn't make the connection between the tiger's eye, right? Because as I mentioned in a previous video, the tiger's eye is really good at removing the illusion and then showing you the reality of situations. And what that showed, okay, so let me finish my story. So the next day, I discovered that the things that I was overwhelmed with or concerned about at work were no longer applicable. It wasn't even, I don't know what happened, but the situation just kind of like blew itself over. And, as far as the pay and everything, that's still something that's in progress. But, I felt a little bit better that next day. I was still a little bit exhausted. I wasn't 100% yet, but what I discovered about myself is so much of my identity, the truth, right? So much of my identity has been wrapped up in my job or my job title, right? And so I'm not a person that brags about what I do, but what I've noticed is that when people ask me what I do, and when I tell them, it's like, oh, wow, they're just so impressed, and they're like, oh, you must be really smart. And sometimes that kind of, sometimes I'll say, well, what do you mean by that? You must be pretty smart. I mean, is it because of my job that prior to that, did you think I wasn't? It just depends on how I'm feeling. So anyway, but so much of my identity and my validation has been wrapped up in my job. And to be honest with you, I know that the job that I'm doing, some aspects of it I know are tailored towards what my true calling is, but I know for a fact that this is not the job that I'm doing right now is not what I was put on this planet to do. Not that in and of itself. You know what I mean? So I'm picking up skill sets and things like that, but that is a result of what I've been already wired to do. Um, so anyway, that was a really hard pill to swallow. I was like, dang, you mean I've given my job this much power, to where it can put me in the bed sick and my feelings are just like totally hurt because I'm like, why can't these people see me and appreciate me for how awesome I am? you know? So that was a harsh reality, but I needed to see it nonetheless. And I just want to say, working with crystals, um, if you're a person who is challenged or faced with depression, crystal work is definitely, I don't even want to call it work, crystal practice is definitely something you'll want to look into. And if you ask people who work with crystals, they, uh-oh, I am having some major technical issues. Some of them are imagined, I'm sure. But anyway, if you talk to people who work with crystals, different people have their recommendations as to what types of crystals you should start with. Um, for me, the first crystal I started with was a rose quartz crystal, which I believe was the catalyst to get me to open the door to all the other crystals. Some people will tell you to work with labradorite because it's very gentle, but I found that in my experience and in my journey that tiger's eye has been the one that has just stayed with me throughout this entire process. So what I will say is, Depression can come out of anywhere. Things can trigger it. I think it's almost always triggered by something, but maybe not always as evident what's triggering it in you. And I would just say go to a crystal shop and just walk around the shop and see if there's anything that calls out to you. The shop that I go to, the woman who is the owner told me, she was like, when you look at a crystal, it's either a hell yes or a hell no. It's never a, maybe I should get this one. It's never like that. And you know what? She's totally right. Go to the shop and just pick up some stones. You don't even have to really know what you're looking for, because when you find the stone that you're supposed to be working with, you're going to know it. And I've heard people say that the stones choose you. You don't necessarily choose them. Sometimes someone may gift you a stone. I mean, they come to you in all types of ways. And it's kind of like once you open yourself up and you say, okay, I'm ready to receive this stone, either you will find it or someone will gift you one. I remember my sister gifted me my first stones, but I haven't used them yet. But yeah, so anyway, when you decide to get a crystal or a stone, I would say when you wear it, when you put it on, and if you have your mind open, and please don't make this a hard process because it doesn't have to be hard. When you put it on, and all you have to do is set your intention and say, okay, you know what, I'm wearing Tiger's Eye today, and you might want to read up on the attributes or the properties of it. And you could just leave it at that. You don't have to constantly think about it or constantly touch it or look at it, because the crystal, there is some intelligence here. There's definitely some intelligence. And the crystal or stones are going to go to work on your behalf to bring those things to the surface that you need to address or be made aware of. So for depression, I would definitely recommend doing some, starting to work with crystals and stones and things like that. And, what you're saying is when you get these stones, I would say wear them. Definitely wear them. You're saying, I'm ready to lift the veil. I'm ready to see the reality, or whatever it is, whatever type of stone you have. You're saying, I am ready to be brought into the awareness of whatever these attributes or properties are of the stone. And I got so many revelations because I put my heart and my mind in a position to be shown, those things that I needed to see. Definitely be prepared, especially if you're working with Tiger's Eye, to have some truths revealed to you about yourself, about situations, about people around you. And the crystals are very loving. For the most part, the crystals that I have experience with have been very gentle, and it's been like a gradual process. Now, there are some stones that are very chatty, and I'm going to introduce some of my chatty stones to you because they are something else. I'm just kind of like, really? And for people who are not into this might sound a little off, right? But I'm telling you, especially if you're someone who's highly sensitive or intuitive, you're definitely going to hear, quite a bit of communication and things like that. So, yeah, I would just say be patient with yourself and approach every opportunity to work with the crystals with an open mind. You don't have to force anything. Please remember that. And, the crystals truly are a blessing. So what I want to do next is I want to make a crystal elixir using the Tiger's Eye. Don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to give it a try. And also I'm going to meditate with the stones. I want to get some flat stones so I can try meditating with them. So I will share that experience as well. So I'm enjoying it. I really love the crystals. Oh, and then you can also take your bath with the crystals as well. But don't take a bath with the crystals that end in "ite," and don't drink the crystals that end in "ite," because my understanding is that those types of stones are poisonous or toxic if they are ingested. So like shungite, malachite. I remember I was going to make myself a pendant using malachite, and I thought I was going to drill a hole through it. And I'm so glad when I talked to one of the people who worked at the shop that I go to, they said you have to wear protective, some type of face mask if you're going to drill a hole in malachite, because if it gets into your lungs, it's toxic. And so I was really glad that I mentioned that to them. So anyway, hopefully the next video that I come to you with will be about me having my elixir, taking a bath with the stones, meditation, and then I also want to eventually create a crystal grid using the tiger's eye, because like I said, I mean, this is just open yourself up. Open yourself up to the experience. If you feel like you need to pray or something like that and ask for protection, go ahead. But I don't feel threatened or anything like that. So hopefully, if you go to the crystal shops, maybe you'll pick up some tiger's eye. And if you do, please share your comments below and let me know what your experience is. All right, so I will talk to you soon. Take care. Love and light, peace and blessings. Bye.